ॐ रत्नाकराधौतपदां हिमालयकिरीटिनीं ब्रह्मराजर्षिरत्नाढ्यां वन्दे भारतमातरम्। Namaste. Advances in science and technology is one of the success stories of our country. We have made a name for ourselves in software, generic drugs, and space technologies in the world. That is not a small achievement, but there is lot more this country can do. The immense potential of the demographic dividend we enjoy is not completely utilized. The rich resources of this country have not been put into full use. We as a society are ambitious about our view about technology. While we enjoy the fruits of technology in our daily lives, we are suspicious about it when certain people raise some doubts. Think about constant opposition to dams, nuclear energy, BT crops like brinjal and cotton, and even mobile phones and apps. We selectively target technology and are ambiguous about our opinion on using them in our daily lives. In this context, we have to recall the life of Gandhiji. Why him, you may ask? For most of us, he is just a man who led the freedom movement. He may be a social reformer at best to some, but his role in shaping the thinking of this country was much more than that. He was a thinker primarily, who constantly donned many roles. Remember, he was a man who had seen three continents and saw the progress of technology in his times. He himself started his own papers and journals, traveled widely, and therefore had first hand knowledge of technology and its utility. In time of crisis, it is always better to imagine how some great personalities in history would react to it. Scholars have labeled it speculative history. It is a good thought experiment. Let me take you through one such thing. Imagine that we are living at present times. Everything is same. All the details are same except one. Imagine that we are still ruled by the British Empire. You are all doing the same work, getting the same salary, having same family, same life. Every other detail is same, but the rulers are foreign. Now, what would you do? Carry on with your comfortable lives or fight for freedom? Think twice before you answer. The government is not a benevolent, democratically elected one. It's a foreign power. It will not take resistance in a light way. It will punish you and punish you severely. Now answer the question. Would you come out of the comfort zone and fight the war for freedom, sacrificing everything in your life which you have right now? Difficult to answer, right? That's the point. Speculative history helps us understand the situation from a very personal viewpoint. Otherwise, the events in history become just dry facts. We cannot really relate to them. That is why exercise such as this is important. Lessons from history should be learnt and implemented in our lives. Why India was considered Vishwaguru at a point of time in history and why it lost that place later should not be studied as a footnote in history. It should be examined in detail and lessons learnt should be imbibed in our everyday lives. The reason to bring in Gandhi into this discussion is precisely that. Gandhiji's view on technology and how he made it a tool for his larger political goal is urgently required in today's times. As I told earlier, Gandhi was not someone who sat in a place and therefore not exposed to trends in the technology. He studied and worked across three continents, had friends across many other countries. He had correspondence with many great minds of his times, including scientists. So he was exposed to all that is new and modern of his times. He himself used them effectively also. His voluminous writings reached countrymen through printing technology. He himself travelled the length and breadth of the country in trains and made to foreign shores in ships. So, it's not that he abandoned technology completely. Even while using them for effectively forwarding his far reaching goals, he was always aware of its limitations. He was a witness to Second World War, which was primarily fought on technological novelty. The full misuse of scientific developments countries made were on full display during Second World War. The Second World War changed the course of technology development. Many novel fields which would otherwise take many more time to evolve were given special importance. Since money and best brains moved in, we got many path-breaking technologies in quick time. In fact, most of the fundamental developments in computer science domain can be traced back to this period. In a matter of few years, a strong foundation was laid for future, fueled by technological marvel created during wartime. But that war also demonstrated how dreadful technologies can be. The atom bomb not only destroyed a country but also touched the conscience of people. Technology and its limits started getting due importance. Responsible use of science and technology became the mantra. Slowly, moral and ethical concerns became inbuilt into technological products. In a way, it was good. A lesson was learnt, but we paid a huge fees to learn that. Friends, it took a war to speed up the growth of technology. History is witness that blood is the best fuel for progress. Just look at today's scenario also. When a pandemic is literally at our doorstep, we have stepped up the search for a vaccine to fight it. Money and brains are engaged in this fight. Eventually, we will get there, but every day we are paying a huge price. That's how it works. In peacetime, nobody will be interested to invest in basic science and technology growth. In times like this, we wake up. Hopefully, at least this time, we will learn our lessons. Gandhi's thinking on technology was shaped by all the developments of his lifetime. He was a witness to rural India's indigenous solutions to problems. In West, he could also see how technology was ruining the lives of people. His views on technology shows sign of slow maturity over time. Initially, he developed a straight dislike to all development which technology proposed to bring along. His views during these days are well documented in his book Hind Swaraj. It reads like an anthem for anti-machine movement. While answering questions from his readers, which are documented in that book, he has clear displeasures about modern technology. That will be the reaction of anyone who starts using technology. For example, we can look again on what's happening today with online education. There is a huge repulsion to use online medium here. Students clearly have come up with more than one innovative reason why they are not interested in online classes. Some of their concerns are real, but just think about this. The same students, most of them, have no second thoughts about using online medium for entertainment and other purposes. Mission critical applications like finance and banking are now completely digital, but there is still a speculation to use digital technologies in education. Gandhiji also went through these dilemmas. He could not first understand the nature of technology. Anything new obviously looks threatening in the beginning because it alters the way we work and therefore puts us out of our comfort zone. That is not acceptable to most of us. Say you are used to tilting the fields with bullocks. You are used to it. Suddenly someone says, take those animals off and bring a tractor. You obviously say no, that's not possible. Initial reaction will always be no. Afterwards, you will try to rationalize the process. You will say, I don't like tractors because it will cause pollution. I love my bulls. They are emotionally attached to me, etc. Well, one will come up with emotional response if they cannot logically defend something. That is what Gandhiji did initially. He was emotionally attached to certain things and was not ready to figure out the place machines will take. But Gandhiji slowly began to change his position on the role of technology. From the extreme position of rejecting them, he began to add conditions on when and how he can use them. His theory, though not proposed in the way I am defining here, can be understood quite close to what I am saying. To understand Gandhiji's view on technology, one has to just study the charaka, which came to symbolize him. You have to first distinguish between tools and machines when you speak about technology. Most of the times, when people say they are against technology, they are actually speaking against large scale machines. They are worried about the impact machines will have on their lives because they look so big Machines are capable of more work and they're of course more efficient than humans. Therefore, machines look threatening. But in contrast, tools require human agency. They facilitate human action. They enhance the way humans work and improves the efficiency of man. Man became who he is because he became well versed in making tools. But unlike the popular perception, humans are not the only tool making being in this world. Insects, birds, and animals too make tools for their own needs. To be true, we have not reached the kind of efficiency that they have reached in building nests. Look how ecologically balanced and aesthetically pleasant they are. In contrast, most of what humans build is devoid of any artistic beauty, focusing mostly on functional aspect. What Gandhiji was suggesting all the way was, let's have tools, but let's be careful about machines. Machines which automate the human labor was a strict no for him. In his self-sufficient concept of Grama Swarajya, people use tools in their everyday tasks. But huge machines and big factories were out of question. We will have to look into these ideas once again. In the name of development, we have invested too much on mega scale projects. Grandeur is something political class likes. They have to make statements with the scale of their work. Yes, they are useful, no doubt, but small scale projects which will not be so attractive will also achieve the same results silently. Gandhiji taught that lesson to us. His reinvention of Charaka is important for us for this reason. It had a dream of making India self-reliant. That is the same thing we are doing now. For that, we have to start implementing what Gandhiji told us. Small scale industries, local manufacturing, everyday tools, basically the economy based on sweat and toil of industrious worker is the only path for Atmanirbhar Bharata. Friends, large scale machines, huge factories, mass manufacturing may look attractive to begin with because they give instant results. But let's ask a question. Would Gandhi approve this? In the name of making country self-reliant, we cannot make the countrymen slaves to machines and technology. We have an excellent teacher in Gandhiji. We have to just listen to him again. That's all. प्रकृतिः पञ्चभूतानि ग्रहालोकास्वरास्तथा दिशः कालाश्च सर्वेषां सदा कुर्वतु मङ्गलम्.